I'm going to try to answer two questions in this video. How fast does the skin grow back, and can I do a chemical foot peel? This is January 15th, 10 days ago, and 3 days after shaving. You can see how smooth and soft they are, how little yellow callus buildup you can see there, and no risk of cracking because they're super, super soft. Whereas this is today, you can see the yellow buildup is a bit thicker, a little drier along the edges. The callus is definitely getting thicker, you can tell because of all the yellow color. But it's still flexy, still soft, no risk of cracking. And I thought this would be a great time to try a foot peel because I can probably get some good penetration before the callus just gets so hard and thick and impenetrable. I just got this one. Hello, there I am. Phoenix Foot Peel for Men, which I got because I thought it would be better for my large feet. This has lactic acid, malic acid, citric acid, salicylic acid. So I'm looking forward to trying it, and I'll show you guys when I have the little baggies on, and we'll see how it goes. I do have a little bit of peeling going on the edges of my toes and on the thin edges of my whole foot, especially this pinky toe here, where the callus can get very thin because it's always rubbing in my shoe, in my sock. So I pulled this bit off, but I didn't want to try and pull more than came off readily by itself. So, oh boy. But on the whole, my feet aren't really peeling all that much, and I am curious to see where this takes me. Along the edges where the membranes are really thin is where I'm seeing the most change. My feet are a little white and swollen here because I just took a shower. My only concern is really that people say I should not lotion because it can deactivate the acids, but what am I supposed to do? Last night, I decided to take matters into my own hands and soaked my feet for about an hour while my husband and I rewatched Rings of Power. I came in first after the soak with this new tool, and it was doing a pretty good job. This is, to be clear, how my feet behave after every soak, but they shouldn't have this much coming off after only 3 weeks since shaving. But I really just wanted to get off any of that itchy, dry skin that had been super dried out from the foot soak. That first tool wasn't really doing a great job. It was just getting the lightest, topmost layer. So I came in with this other tool, and it was doing a pretty impressive job. You're going to watch me experiment around with it a little bit. I've never used it before, so I kind of had to get a feel for the thing. And I'm just coming in and getting all of these layers that were pretty thoroughly dried out and therefore able to be softened with water from the foot peel. Cleaning up my toes. And it was doing an all right job, not quite as good as my scary big knife, but pretty good and easier to hold and manipulate, so that was good. When my skin gets wet, it gets very rubbery and sort of binds to itself, and so I was struggling to get the bigger layers across the ball of my foot and across my heel, but I was able to get these edges pretty good where it was very dried out. Moving on to the next foot, I just went in straight in with this new tool to try and get all this dead skin off the edges because it's what's staying dry and making me feel like my feet are going to crack. So at this point, my goal is just to get all of the dried out skin from the foot peel off, because I do not want that discomfort, and I definitely do not want to crack at this stage where my feet are so thin. This is about 15 minutes after the soak versus the last foot was done immediately after the soak, and you can kind of see how much more readily the skin is coming up, which I started to discover as I went into the toes and decided I could probably do the whole ball of this foot. And here we go. The skin is less rubbery and ready to come off. Not getting as smooth a finish as I would with my shaving tool, but for the callus being this thin, I wouldn't go in with the shaving tool. And this was doing a pretty great job of cleaning it all up and taking it off. I did a poor job of trying to record me doing around the edges of my heel here, but I'm including it just so you can see the process. I can't even see this side of my foot while I'm doing it, so I'm just doing by touch. And then in the end, I came back to the other foot and was able to scrape off the skin now that it was a bit drier to even out the ball of my foot so it didn't feel like weird and uneven. And this is today. Pretty good. Very close to a shave with the shaver. And for being 3 weeks out after shaving, to be able to scrape off that much was pretty good. I won't do it again, but back to normal, and they finally feel good. Man, I mean, I did this foot peel because like thousands of people have been asking me to try them. So I was like, sure, what the hell? But everybody I've ever talked to who has EPPK has said that these peels don't have enough acid in them to really do anything to this type of callus. And also that it dries the shit out of your feet. And that has been my experience. I finally broke down last night and lotioned them. And overnight, they dried out so bad again that I had to lotion them multiple times this morning just to get to a comfort level where I felt like I could walk and not risk cracking this callus, which is already quite thin to begin with because it's not time to shave again. So I think it's a bust. We are only one day in, but I have low hopes. Just a quick update on the foot peeling mask. For those of you who missed it or misunderstood that the scrape that I did about a week ago was immediately after the foot peel mask because it dried my skin out so much, here's what is going on with my feet right now. The skin on the edges of my feet has peeled up. So I have baby soft feet just along the edge where the skin meets the callus. But the callus itself isn't coming up. It's not prone to peeling, maybe a little flaking. I can't really get a good hold of it with my nails because I have gel polish on. But if I take tweezers and come in here and try to pull it off, you'll see that it's just a little dried out and flaking up, but no peeling. My other foot has more flakiness going on in this middle part. But again, if I come in with tweezers and try to get it up, there's no peeling. So, oh well. And since I had the nail drill out, I thought it might be a good idea to try and drill it down, since this is not really doing anything and maybe making it a little worse. So I came in here and just tried to sand off the layers that were really dry and flaky, so it's not catching or peeling as much. Well, not peeling, but flaking off as much. But this is also good evidence of why I don't love the drill as much, because in general, it makes my skin a lot rougher than it would be with a shave or a scrape. The reason the foot peel wasn't a good idea to begin with is because those type of acids really dry out your skin. This is my foot 2 days after the peel, and you can see that it really dried out the edges. The only reason the balls of my feet don't look super dry like that is because of sweating, but it was definitely too drying for my skin and wasn't safe anymore. So I came in and scraped it off. And I know there's an opinion that I really shouldn't have scraped it off and I should have left it and let it grow, but I did not want to have to deal with the super dry skin, because when it gets really dry, layers upon layers of dryness, it will crack. And as you see, I have no bleeding cracks, no cracks in my heels. And that's really the biggest danger with this skin condition, is that if it will crack, it will bleed. Those cracks will continue to perpetuate because now they've been split open. And every time you put pressure on the heel or the ball of your foot, wherever the crack is, it will crack more and more and more. And it will just always be cracking deeper, and you'll never have healing and recovery. So one of my biggest goals in maintaining my skin is to keep the cracks at bay. And the only way to do that is to keep it moisturized and keep it low. And so I realized a couple of days after the foot peel, oh, this is not going to work for me. I already knew that it's not a recommended treatment for this type of skin, but I thought I'd try. And Now this is like a week and a half, a week later from the peel. The edges of my feet are finally peeling up where there is normal skin, but the callus is still not really peeling. There have been some flaky layers, a little bit deep on the inside of my foot here, but if I had not scraped off that other skin and allowed it to dry out even deeper, I would have gotten cracks. And it will take me months to mitigate cracks and repair them. Meanwhile, they're constantly re-cracking themselves and maybe bleeding or getting infected. I don't want any of that. So I just decided, nope, we're not going to let it dry out. I don't care if it means I have some interesting flaky layers for a while. I didn't want to deal with those cracks. The other cracks that you see there that aren't bleeding, those are fine. That's just where the skin flexes and they're going to have to be there, but they don't bleed. This condition is called keratoderma at the root of it, and keratoderma literally means keratin skin. So the problem here with foot peels is that my skin is extremely thick keratinized skin. There is no normal skin underneath. However, foot peels are designed to take off only a thin layer of the epidermis, just the top outermost driest layer of skin. So on feet that haven't been exfoliated at all, a foot peel will make them peel off in what looks like a huge, massive shedding of skin, but it's still like thinner than paper thin little layers of skin that are coming off that's just dry and hasn't been exfoliated. You should note that if you exfoliate your feet regularly, a foot peel won't do much. So anyway, foot peels work, but only the way they're intended. And on my skin, all that means is, as you can see here, this is my foot right after a foot peel. It means that it makes the thinnest, tiniest outer layer of the skin kind of flake up, and it doesn't even peel. It just barely touches what is the total thickness of the skin. So I can save a lot of money and time by using other methods that are a lot more effective. For reference, this is my foot today, and you can see maybe to an untrained eye, it looks like a similar level of flakiness, but it's really not. Usually the flakes, or you could call them scales of callus, are kind of smashed together and they form more of a cohesive total skin over my whole foot. And so it's mostly just annoying and not very helpful to try and remove that teeny tiny outer layer. I need bigger, stronger tools for that.